So can you still see me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so we're going live. And I just need to tell our lovely moderator. Okay, so welcome to Silver Tent TV, and I'm Sandy Simmons, and tonight we're presenting all about the breath, and specifically we've called it, or I have called it, breathing to iron out the creases. Now, why would I say that? That's because most of us do not breathe deeply enough, and so what happens to your lungs, and this is maybe an Australian colloquium that I am saying, but all the lungs get creased up because we're not breathing deeply enough. So breathing deeply irons out the creases. So welcome everyone, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Tanya English, who's chatting here with me tonight all about breathwork.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
yeah. So I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit, and then Tanya is going to introduce herself too, seeing as it's just the two of us. So for me, with breathwork, I've worked with this probably for some 40 odd years, and I break it up into the physical, mental and spiritual breath. That can sound a little bit complicated, but it's not. It's just that it affects different parts of our body, our mind and our spirit. Some of the breath work that I've delved into has been the science of breath, which some of you may have heard of. I've got a little book here, which if I do this, you can see, and a very good text if you can get hold of that one. The lineage of a Tibetan Zen tradition master handed down a lot of breathwork information to a group of us, and in the Essene tradition, we don't write anything; it's just handed down to us by word of mouth. So that was a very interesting time when I was in that space. Learned a lot, and the other one that I've experienced to quite a lot is I don't know if anyone's heard of Damanhur in northern Italy, but I stayed there for some time, and they have a very, very good transformational breathing technique that they use along with others. But this particular one is excellent. So I've delved into those. I'm just going to run through a list of all the types that I know of, and you may put something in the chat that in case there's something that I haven't written down. But I'm just going to quickly run through the different types of breath work that are out there. So we've got biodynamic breath work, which is often to do with trauma release. We've got the potato method, which I'm sure most of you would have heard about. Clarity breath work, holotropic breath work, integrative breath work, Middendorf breath work. What else have we got here? Radiance, rebirthing, Reichian, I think that is. I don't know if I've said that right. Shamanic, transformational, vibration, and Zen yoga. So there's just some of the ones that I've heard of, and I'm sure there's plenty of others. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Tanya and let her introduce you to you and let you know about how she got started with breathwork.
Well, thank you, Sandy. I appreciate you being here and doing this message today about breathing. It's so important. I came from the background of massage therapy and chiropractic, where we are always going after the root cause of what's causing blockages in the energy system and the nervous system in particular. But I've gone to working with breath because when I'm doing the technique that I use, my main technique, we do what we call 4-count breathing, which helps regulate the autonomic nervous system. That's the part of your nervous system that's running your body. and it is influenced by your feelings and your emotions. So when we're doing 4-count breathing, we're regulating that and bringing ourselves back out of fight or flight response into rest, digest, and heal. So that's what I teach my clients and my patients. My clients are the people that I work with online doing energy healing, and patients are people who are walking in and coming in to lay on the table and get a chiropractic adjustment, as well as working on those root causes for why their things are moving out of place. And my mission in life is to help people understand that they have power for healing within them, and to help them release and use that power for their highest good. So breathing is pretty important. And one of the things that we talk about is, you can live without food for quite a while. You can live without water for a little bit less time, but 4 minutes without breathing, and that's the end. So breathing is very, very important. And when you put your attention to your intention, there's no tension. So as you're doing that breathing and you're putting your intention on your breath, you're actually inviting more life into your life. So as you're putting attention, which is your power that you have for creating things and having things show up in your life, and you're asking the source of all that is for what you want, you're putting your attention on life when you're doing breathing work. So it's really important to remember that it's not for nothing, and it's something that you have under autonomic control, but you can also take control of it yourself. So it's one of those things that is a subconscious thing. It's a subconscious pattern. So your body knows how to do that, but you can take over that control with being intentional about it. So when you do that, we're teaching people how to regulate their autonomic nervous system. That's basically what it is whenever you put your attention on your breathing, you're taking over control from your emotions, which are running your subconscious, which is running your body. So you don't have to know how to do things in your body. Like, you don't know how to regulate the all the work that your liver does. When a woman's pregnant, she doesn't know when to make the baby's circulatory system. We don't need to know that. It's in there. That wisdom is in our bodies. But when we want to regulate and move from a fight or flight response, which increases your heart rate, increases your blood pressure, brings your breathing to a very shallow level, dilates your pupils. When you're in that's a 10-year lower life expectancy for people that are EMT workers, because once you go into fight or flight, it takes hours to come out of it if you don't do anything. But when you do 4-count breathing, you're taking that control back, and you're being able to bring yourself back to parasympathetic dominance instead of sympathetic. So sympathetic is fight or flight, parasympathetic is rest, digest, and heal. So it's really that physiological pattern that we're trying to have people take that over, so that they're not staying in that fight or flight situation for hours and hours. Because that's what happens.
Really, really important, isn't it? It's most people forget that they even are breathing. It's
and they'll breathe way up here, and then suddenly they'll just finally take a breath, and that's because they're so depleted from oxygen. Their body's like, now you have to breathe, so it takes over. This is why when a child says, I'm going to hold my breath until I get what I want, the body will take over, make the child faint, right? And then it'll start breathing again. So this is a survival mechanism. So when people get bad news or something shocking, all the blood in their body can go to their periphery, and that will cause them to faint. And when people do that, that's because their body isn't regulating correctly how to do this. Like, there's people that have trouble with that. So breathing techniques are really important for those people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How many? I know quite a few children that used to do that.
And I never did it, and I don't know anybody that did, but I've heard of it. And it's really a great example of how your body will just take over, because this is not survive when you're not getting oxygen, and it will cause you to go
Yeah.
unconscious so it can breathe.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. The body will take over. I mean, really, all functions of the body rely on breathing, as you said.
yep.
Or, we have 4 minutes and that's it. So
That is it.
4x4x4x4 is a really, really good one.
Yeah, unless you're training for like, free diving or something like that, where you're holding your breath, and they have to do a lot of training to be able to do free diving, because it is a breath experience. That's what it's all about. So the 4 count breathing that we do is inhale for 4 counts, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. And then hold it in for 4 counts, and then exhale for 4 counts and hold it out for 4 counts. So it's in, hold, out, hold.
Yeah.
And if you do that, and we can do it right now, we'll do it twice around, and then you can notice that your body's going to feel different. So right now, just kind of gauge where you are in tension and, how you're feeling. So scale of 0 to 10. 10's the worst. 10's like, I'm so upset I can't even sit still, right? Or I'm ready to cry. And 0 is like, yeah, no big deal. So gauge where you are right now, and then we'll do 4 count breathing. So empty out the air from your lungs, just exhale, and then breathe in. This is all through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe normally. So what do you notice from that? Do you feel calmer? Do you feel more centered?
Yes. Doing the breath work, I do it morning and night. So for me, but just doing that now just makes me feel.
So for the people that are watching, that are doing this with us, or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and do that again. And remember, this is only 32 seconds, because counting a second. So give yourself a moment to really feel what that feels like in the body after you do it just twice. 32 seconds, and you can recenter yourself. You can do it for longer than that. This is a really great way to do meditation, to start with 4 count breathing, and then let your mind's going to wander. You might end up counting to 8 and you forget that you're doing it. So that's okay. And you can actually go longer. You can do 5 or 6 count breathing if you want to, and allow that to happen so that you get used to that stillness that happens. And in that stillness that happens, that's where healing is taking place. That's where you're allowing that to happen while you're awake. It's better when you're asleep. And Sandy mentioned Buteyko breathing. It's very similar, except that you're breathing so lightly that you feel like you want to take a deep breath, but it's really that kind of breathing that you have when you're asleep. It's very slow, and you almost can't notice that you're breathing in and out. And when you do that for a period of time, you're going to notice that you start to have saliva in your mouth. You're starting to have these parasympathetic nervous system experiences of your body doing healing and rejuvenating. So that Buteyko breathing is really slow, almost imperceptible, that you're breathing in and out. And it's a really beautiful way to do it. I'm not going to demonstrate it because you can't really, you can go watch a video on it, but it's a little boring to demonstrate.
I think what you've just walked everybody through it will help a lot of people tremendously. And even if it's just to get them to stop, because that, the breath where we're holding, we call it the retention breath in some breath work, types, they call it the retention, and it's actually the kumbhaka, which is the pause between the breaths. And as you said, that's where the healing takes place. It's also sometimes where you can actually, you get ideas, you get things drop in. It's the space between the breathing. Very, very important for us to understand, you know, how powerful that is. And I love the way you were saying how, and this is all my work too, it's just empowering people to look after themselves. We have it all anyway. It's just really reminding them that they can do lots of things that don't actually take anything except, as you said, breathing differently, doing.
Put your attention on your breath. Just put your, like a lot of times when I'm telling my patients or my clients to put their attention on their breathing, it just follow your breath where it goes. Just follow it with your mind and allow yourself to just be in that space, because that will quiet that inner critic that's back there telling you no. That will quiet it down quite a bit. And it also allows you to have, like Sandy was saying, that space so that you can let the wisdom come in, because your body's wise. It knows what to do. It's when we have thoughts that get it stuck in certain situations that it just, well, that's what I help people clear up, is those blocks that help us get, you know, stuck into situations in our thinking and in our beingness that are not conducive to our highest good. So when we're clearing that stuff up, we'll be doing 4-count breathing and allowing ourselves to put attention just on that really simple thing, because that's the power that we have within us, is that breath power. And there's always that residual air that's at the bottom of the lungs. And so as you're doing this, you're actually recirculating all of that too. So it makes it really a full body experience for your whole body to be able to regenerate and bring in new oxygen that's going to go everywhere. So it's really, that's why they have those hyperbaric chambers, because you want more oxygen. So why not just start breathing better?
Yes, and then you won't need those.
Yeah, and if you tap on one side and you just tap, so there's lungs up here, and you just tap and tap, just do it on one side of your body, just tapping, tapping, tapping. Just while we're doing this, you're increasing your circulation on this side. And just tap while I'm talking, and just allow yourself to have that feeling of tapping, and push back there and get on the back of the lung, because there's a lot more lung on your back than there is on your front. And so that's why a lot of people who were intubated during COVID eventually died, because they were on their backs and they needed to be laying face down so that their lungs could move. So if you're doing this, now just stop, take a breath. You're going to feel the difference. So this side that I didn't tap on feels a little more constricted, a little heavier. This side feels nice and open. So I'm going to be tapping on this side while you talk, Sandy.
It's good.
I want to even it up.
So, you know, I mean, I think most of us will bring other methods into when we're working with people. So, you know, tapping is one of the things. And I do a lot of waking up the thymus gland that tends to go to sleep, because that's part of our immune system. So tapping that is very, very important, which is up here.
This is different from emotional freedom technique tapping. I'm just having a tap on here, but emotional freedom technique tapping you can do as well with 4-count breathing. So you could do everything together. You could have an affirmation that you're thinking of. You could rant, and we do a tap and rant. Like, how terrible is this? It's so bad. I can't even believe it. So we could do that. But with breathing, this is what we want. Yeah, now I feel more even.
Feel more even and more sort of alive as well. Yeah, makes a huge difference, doesn't it? So, I mean, I think you pertained to this a little bit earlier, where, you know, the cells, all the cells in our body hold memory, and breathing can help with that too, because if we've gone through traumas, we've been through different things, or things, memories come up when we start to heal, if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
And that's okay, because we don't want to keep holding on to things. We want to renew and regenerate. You know,
Mhm.
having the the breathing techniques just on their own help, but then if you can bring other things in as well, we can do a lot. And there's a breathing technique that I learned from the Zen masters, and that was when you are breathing in, whichever count you decide, because some of them have been doing it for so long, they go up to 8, 9, 10, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you start at 3, it doesn't matter. It's just getting the rhythm happening. But when you breathe out, you're visualizing the space between the cells, and it moves the memories, and removes or moves everything so that it can slowly move out of the body. And our cells will always remember a tiny fraction, because we can't change what has happened in the past. Well, that's my belief, is that, but we're making it really small, and so that it doesn't keep coming back and taking us down, which quite often happens with traumas. And it just doesn't let
Yeah,
past, doesn't let you get
right.
past where you are. And so breath work can really help in.
Oh, amazing. There's a breath work that we do, and it's on trauma release. What's it called? It's trauma release something, but part of that is doing that breathing that hyperoxygenates your body, and then you can release the trauma that's there. What happens in the work that I do is I'm helping people release subconscious emotional memories that are creating a pattern of physiology. So when you have intense emotion when something happens, or it's happening chronically over and over again, that pattern gets memorized by the body. And so whenever something triggers that memory, it doesn't have to be conscious, it's subconscious. That subconscious pattern takes over, and now you're having a reaction to something that has very little to do with what's happening in present time, because it's a past situation. So what we do in the work that I do is be able to disengage that pattern, do a pattern interrupt, which is really simple. And during that time that we're doing that pattern interrupt, the person's changing their breathing. They're holding it in, they're holding it out, or they're doing 4-count breathing. And that's what tells the body something different is going on here. Something is changing. So we have them putting their eyes in a certain location, thinking of an emotion, a positive emotion, a number that's energetic, and doing this specific breathing in and hold, out and hold, or 4-count breathing. So you're changing the breath. Whenever you change the breath, you're changing what's going on with your body. And it's a way for you to kind of like say to your body, something's going on here and it needs to change. And so it works really well, because we have this immediate response. There's a part of the technique that I do that works on the points, upper body and lower body, to find places where there's soreness or it's really tender. And then we have the person either hold their breath in, hold their breath out, or 4-count breathing. And here's what's happening. We're telling the body, these two places, they're laying face down on my table right here. Face down, there's an opening in the middle, so they don't have to turn their head to lay face down. You can lay face down. And the body doesn't need to be contracting any muscles to do that. So wherever there's tenderness, that's telling us there's a muscle contracting here, because it's not doing present time. Present time, you're laying face down on a table. You don't need to do anything. So as we're holding those points, we're asking the person to either hold their breath or do 4-count breathing. And what happens is there's a pulse that happens. The pulse is the pulse of cerebral spinal fluid, and it allows things to just settle down. So after we hold those points, there's some vibration that happens during that. And then when the 2 points start to pulse together, then the person can change their breathing, go back to normal breathing. And now those places that were tender are no longer tender, because the muscle isn't contracting. So we're using the breath to say, what are you doing right here? Why are you doing that? That's not normal for right now. So you wake up and listen. So we're getting the body to like wake up and listen to what's present time.
It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think most people would even realize what they're carrying around with them from the
Yeah,
past.
we call this office the baggage drop off. Just leave your bags here. You don't need to carry those with you wherever you go.
Yeah, leave them at
And
the door. Leave them at the door. So yes, there's lots that breathwork can help with. I've got a bit of a list here, and there will be a lot more, but I've just written a quick list of, anxiety, obviously, and chronic pain. We've talked here about uncomfortable, which is what I work with people too. Anger issues, depression, traumas and post-traumatic stress, grief and loss, and the emotional effects of physical illness. So that's just a few things I've written down that I work with. But there's lots and lots of, the breath is everything. If we don't breathe, as we don't have life. So, we've already said that, but if that's the case, then everything needs the breath. And so we can fix things quite easily, but we have to, unfortunately, be taught now, because I believe at one stage, many, many moons ago, people knew how to look after themselves. They knew these things. They were more in tune with themselves. We've obviously gone on and developed things and fine-tuned things, but I think somewhere along the line over the past few hundred years or whatever, slowly it's been eroding, where we've lost sight of just the normal things that we can do. So just
technology's outrun spiritual awareness in many cases.
Yeah.
And so as we're coming back around to bringing our spiritual IQ up to where we are technologically, obviously, look at this. We're here. You're in Australia. I'm in Iowa, USA, and we're here together. Technology is great, but here's the cool thing about that is that we can connect this way just as well as if we were in the same room, because we are in the same room.
Oh, exactly.
We are in the same room. And so when I'm working with people online and they're saying, how does this healing work if you're not touching me? I'm like, touching isn't everything. It's what our intention and what we're allowing to have happen. It's our energy, and the energy doesn't stop at the surface of your skin. It never stops. It just goes on and on. So we're like little clouds working around each other and being around each other. And so as we're doing that, as we're interacting with each other, we're picking up information from each other the whole time. And as we're picking up that information, whatever it is, could be negative, positive, indifferent, whatever we're picking up, we're going to be able to use for our highest good. If you believe that, right? So there are many people who don't have any idea what we're talking about right now.
Possibly not. But in the very beginning, I said that I personally, with the work that I do, I break it into three. The breath into three areas. So you've got the physical, which we've been talking a lot about, is working on the physical body, and mentally we've started to bring some of that in, where we've got to get the oxygen moving around so that our brain works better. But the spiritual part of it, we are all spiritual beings, whether people think about that or not, or whether they believe that or not. We are all three of those areas. And so the breath can really bring your spiritual awareness in. When we were talking before about the breath, the space within the breaths, if we want to call it that, when, we get wisdom and things like that, that is being aware. That is part of your spiritual awareness. You could call it wisdom. You could call it whatever you like. But this is how we can access some of it.
It's called inspiration for a reason. When you breathe in, you're inviting spirit in. So let's take a nice deep breath right now and just let that happen. And another. And just hold that breath at the top of the inhale, and then just hold it for a moment at the bottom.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody who is going to be listening to this recording, if they're not on live at the moment, will be doing some of these techniques and writing lots, writing below what they're feeling, because whilst breathwork is known about the name, I don't know how many people actually practice it. You know, there's practitioners like us that bring it into the mix of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many people are still, they know about it, but are they actually doing it? So that would be a really good bit of a survey to do. If you're on the call or you're listening to the recording, if you could just put, you know, in the chat, just, you know, what do you do? Are you doing anything with breathing? Do you do it in the mornings? Do you do it once a day? Do you use it just for emergencies? You know, it would be really.
And how did you feel doing the work that we just did? The 4-count breathing that we've done, those deep breaths that we just took. How does that feel in your body? That's really important for you to notice. What is the feeling that you're getting? Because just me sitting here doing that, I feel a lot calmer, more grounded, easier, just better, more centered.
But it
And
does.
so what I'm telling people to do is whenever you feel scattered or uncentered, just sit for a moment and do 4-count breathing. Just sit for a moment and watch your breath. Just feel your breath. Just sit for a moment and do that deep breath. Hold it at the top, hold it at the bottom. Let that stillness come in, because what's happening is you're giving your body life. You just feel what that feels like. Because if you're not familiar with that, then getting familiar with that will help you to stop some of the mind gunk that happens when you're spinning around, which, you know, we all do. I do it too. You know, so when my husband says, can you take a breath? And I'm like, yeah, thank you. I need that reminder.
We all
Yeah,
do, don't
I
we?
will take a breath.
We're all human, and we all forget. We all forget the simple things that keeps our body going. We just forget. It's just automatic, and but we can actually take that and do so.
Yeah, we're trained not to think about it. We're trained that we have to keep doing. And what I'm saying is, like, this is something that you do, but it's also going to give you space so that you're not on this hamster wheel of doing all the time, because you're not a human doing, you're a human being. So if you could just be for a little bit, that will help you in your doingness of all the things that you need to
Well,
do. So it helps with
yeah.
the overwhelm, helps you to develop, you know, a natural, like, oh, I need to take a breath break right now. In fact, I used to have that on the back of my cards. It said, take a breath break, 4 deep breaths. And so when you do that, you're actually giving yourself a chance to, like, live. There's a really cool thing that Abraham Hicks talks about, and that is segment intending. So the next segment of my day is going to be between when we end this and when I go to teach a class. And what am I going to do during that segment? Well, I might go back to sleep for a while because I was up at 4 a.m. for this. And I might go back to sleep, and I might go do some yoga. I might go do this. But what I'm doing when I take that breath break is I'm making an intention for what is going to happen next. I just want it to be easy. I just want it to be fun. I just want it to be simple. I'm looking for the joy in every situation, every interaction, and pre-paving that while you're doing your breath work. I mean, it's so easy to combine these things. Allow yourself to have the time to do the breathing so that you can say, well, how do I want my next segment of my life to be?
We are in control.
Yeah.
We just don't know it. We're, as you say, we're trained to think we're not.
We're
So
trained to not have enough power to do anything. Anytime you go, and I'm going to make a very general, nasty statement about medicine. Just get ready. How many times have you gone to the doctor and felt disempowered? Because they know so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, sure, they've studied different things than you've studied, maybe. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the power that you have.
But they don't know you like you know you.
That's right.
And they never will. And
they don't know your power.
To be honest, in 10 minutes in a session, it's very hard to, that's what the time they're given in the system to find out something and then fix it.
That's right.
Give you something that's going to make you feel better. Whereas
I worked in an office once that they gave me 2 minutes and 35 seconds per patient to adjust them, to do an adjustment. 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Do you think I'm like, you've got to be in that flow of getting to the point right away. And when you're seeing people in that timing, you start to get a different look at people because you're seeing where you need to work first. But it also deprives you of having a relationship with them so that you can actually see what they need.
Yeah. And that's the difference, I think, between probably a lot of other therapists as against GPs. Part of it is it's the system and the way it's set up.
Very much so.
But it is disempowering because they don't give you, there's no space for you to actually interact and work together.
Yeah, when have you asked a question and the doctor's gone?
Yeah.
We know, like they're trying to get it across to you. It's the same thing with in any situation, in any relationship where you're not given the time and the impetus to really connect with the person. It's a very difficult situation. Because what are you dealing with? You're dealing with your health, for crying out loud. It's the most important thing you have.
Well, that is what you have. If everything's taken away from you, you want your health, don't you? above everything, right. So that you can, keep going. So, so when I'm talking about the mental, physical, and spiritual, I call it the trilogy. And that's, you'll probably keep hearing me say that, but they all interact with each other. You can work just on the physical body, but at the same
it's our minds that have to separate everything out. Like all the systems of the body, they're not all systems, they're all together working.
They're all working together. You might perceive that we're working on something that's hurting in your body, but we're actually working here everywhere. So on all levels. So it's that is what some people don't realize, and I think that's come from the fact that we've gone into, well, just say for doctors and specialists have gone into, I'm working with, the different systems in the body, but they're actually all working together, but the doctors don't all work together. So you've got something for this, something for that, something for something else. And we don't know if they're all interacting properly for a start. Which they're probably.
I mean, it's kind of like the body too. I mean, we don't know if everything's interacting the way it's supposed to because we're seeing something that's not normal, that's out of the ordinary. I just recently had a diagnosis that I have nodules on my thyroid, and I said to the doctor, "Well, what does that? Tell me about that and what's going on hormonally with me because I'm in postmenopause." And she's like, "Oh, you have to talk to your OB about that, your GYN." Like, but you're an endocrinologist. There's endocrine glands and organs all over the body. Oh no, I'm just thyroid.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do about the nodules? Well, we cut them off and then you take drugs the rest of your life. And I said, "Well, do you know why they're there?" And she said, "No, we don't know why they're there." And I said, "Well, I'm not a big fan of cutting things out if you don't even know why they're there."
Oh my goodness. Everything.
The Ayurvedic doctor that I had a consult with, now he's like, there's lymph that needs to be cleared up and we need to clear up that system. So you got to change your diet completely. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's a lot that goes on there, but an endocrinologist is going to cut it off. See,
Yeah.
that's not helpful
No,
in a way,
it's
because
not
the drug
helpful. But
intake is good.
this is where we get into this separation part. And if we think about our body's all working. Everything is working together. If there's a blockage somewhere, it's affecting not just your body; it's
Right.
affecting your mind, because you're,
Yeah.
you're thinking, you're feeling it
Yeah.
up here, and it's having some other type of blockage there, and it's
Right.
affecting your spirit, because your spirit, if you just want to call it, your
Yeah.
spiritual awareness, it just takes your spirit down.
It can, yeah. And,
It's
I'm talking about this, and I know somebody who is going to listen to this and go, well, what is she doing for that problem? I'm doing a lot of things for that problem. One of them is breathing
yes,
exercises, because it's all throat issue, right? So,
awful lot that can be done.
yeah.
I've worked with a Russian scientist for the last 25 years, who was a doctor in Russia, and we've done all sorts of different way out things, you could say, to the norm.
Mhm.
But we've had some, seen some miracles. Well, I don't like to call them miracles, but we've seen people get better when they've been told that you can't, there's nothing you
Yeah.
can. And so I guess
What they really should be saying, instead of there's nothing we can do, is this is the end of my knowledge.
it's,
This is the end of my knowledge.
but it's up. What I want to try and get across to people is that, just keep searching.
Yeah.
Actually, if you breathe and you listen in between your breaths, you'll be guided to where you need to go to get the assistance you need. And that's one of the things that breathwork can do for you. And it doesn't have to be hard or any, it's just, even if you just do the 4 count, there's lots of different types that you can do, but just keep it simple, and
Mhm.
just be calm and listen to it, to what you're getting. So important. There's something I just wanted to bring up before I forget, and that is the people who breathe through their mouth.
Mm.
It's something that because I worked with babies. I don't do that so much now, that I was worked with as a lactation consultant. So I was very much
Awesome.
checking and getting mums to check, was the baby breathing through its mouth, because they are often the children that go on to have problems with all sorts of issues with their colds, mucus, all sorts of things, because
Cognitive abilities, yeah.
mucus only comes because it wants to soothe the throat. Okay, it's our body's way of soothing something that's sore. But if you're breathing through your mouth, the particles that are all floating in the air go straight down into the lungs. Whereas if you're breathing through your nose, you've got the little, the little hairs, we'll call them those, because everybody knows you've got those, and that they filter everything, and
Yep.
it's filtering what goes down here, so you're not taking on all that debris, and
Mhm.
then the body hasn't got to work so hard. Otherwise, it's got to work hard to try and get rid of it. It's really none of the things that happen to us are what I call rocket science, and there's a lot that we can alleviate with. How do you stop that? Well, with a baby and a child, you can just move their head and keep doing that, and the body will get the message. Quite often, when it's an adult, we tend to tape the mouth. Sounds awful, but you can just tape the mouth with something nice, not that horrible elastoplast, but
There's actually tape that actually you can
yeah,
buy that has it's circular, and you put it across your mouth, and it
yeah,
leaves your lips alone, but it keeps your mouth closed.
keep your mouth closed, and you get to learn to breathe through your nose, and people's health gets better. It's amazing. And I know that Dr. Tanya here has already said that she uses the technique of the alternate nostrils.
Mhm. Alternate nostril breathing, yeah.
Yeah,
So you put 2 fingers here, and you have your thumb here and your ring finger here, or you can just put 1 finger and use that. And then you take a breath in, closing one side. So I'm closing this side, and then I'm exhaling on the other side, and I'm closing this side, and I'm breathing in, and I'm closing the other side, and I'm exhaling, and I'm breathing in and exhaling, and inhale and exhale. So you're going back and forth. Now you're going to notice that one side is probably more clogged than the other. One side breathes easier. And the reason why that happens is because you have right and left brain, and whatever side of your brain is dominant, that's the side that's going to be clearer. And that changes about every 50 minutes. So every 50 minutes, you're going to have a switch. While you're doing 4-count, or while you're doing alternate nostril breathing, you can change that too. It'll change while you're doing that, but it helps balance your brain. Now, the other thing I want to mention is I kept saying, breathe through your nose when you're doing 4-count breathing. The reason why you need to breathe through your nose is because your sinuses are spiral shaped, and they speed the air up as it comes in. Not only that, but as Sandy was saying, there's cilia in there that are cleaning the air, that are filtering it so that you're not getting these big particles. And then what happens is, as it goes through those turbinate sinuses, turbinate like a turbine, it's swirled. So that speeds up the air and it activates the brain. So it's really important to breathe through your nose. You're not activating your brain. This is why I say, if you're breathing through your mouth, there's cognitive abilities that will not fire because you're not breathing through your nose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Now I
amazing.
need to blow my nose.
It's amazing what we can do. You know, I've got a little technique here for unblocking your nose, which is a quick little fix. So basically you breathe out normally and hold your breath and close your mouth and pinch your nose like this. And sounds awful. I won't be pinching mine because I sound a bit strange. And when you can no longer comfortably hold your breath, let go of your nose, but keep your mouth closed and carry on breathing through your nose. And that helps to unblock a blocked nose. And sometimes you might have to do it 2 or 3 times, but it works. It's a little magical sort of thing that we use. The other thing, what time are we going? Well, we've still got a little bit of time to talk about the people that overbreathe. They're breathing too fast. You know, they're panting and they don't realize, a bit, you know, like a dog does, like that. And some people are overbreathing. You know, most people are probably what we call underbreathing, but some people are overbreathing. So, you know, there's some different things that you can do for that. Have you got any special technique that you use?
Yeah, I actually have a patient that was doing that a lot. She had a Kundalini awakening without her permission, and it really threw her system into complete overhaul. And so she was panting a lot, and I would put my hand on her chest and a hand on her back on the same place on the back, and have her breathe into my hands. This, you know, even though it's shallow up here, it would help her to stop that panting, because you're not getting oxygen the way you need it. And to only breathe through her nose and not through her mouth, so that she could get that oxygen in. And sometimes it takes another person to be there with you. In fact, listen, you're not meant to do all this healing on your own. That's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to have someone come alongside and help you and guide you and be on the outside of it, so they can show you what's happening. Because when you're inside the bottle, it's very hard to read the label on the outside. So if you're in there and you're trying to figure it out, that's why it's important to get in touch with somebody like Sandy or me, so that we can help you move through the blockage that's happening in your healing.
Yeah, it's just really a support and guide and really people know what they need to do. A lot of the time there's fear there, and they can't see the forest for the trees. you know, sometimes it's just, as you say, someone being there. Obviously, we've got different techniques and things that we can use to help, and just
Sure.
to share what we know, so that
Listen, and whenever two are gathered together and we're asking Source to come be with us, we will have that.
Yep.
Because if where two or more are gathered, there I am also. So you're actually asking for more Source to come in.
yes, absolutely,
Very
absolutely,
powerful.
yeah. So, you know, over breathing, remembering to take a deep breath and to do some breath work, even if it's, you know, there's a lot of people that I used to work in the city as a naturopath, and I used to see quite a lot of business people, and they were stressed. And you know, just the simple breathing techniques, something like Dr. Tanya was saying, or they found their own way, you know, or their number that they wanted to use or whatever, and they would take themselves off, maybe to the toilets or somewhere where they could just sit just for 10 minutes, and they would just breathe, and it got them out of a whole lot of trouble, you know, because when you get stressed, you make wrong decisions, or, you know, decisions that are not the best. And
You're not clear-minded. You're not clear thinking. You
no,
don't have
you
the
haven't got the
same.
oxygen that you need in your brain to really make an informed decision. So very, very important to stop, and, you know, take a step back, do a little bit of breathing, and then come back and make a decision, or say something that perhaps differently to what you might have said it before.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically we've covered a lot of things that I had written down here about if we don't breathe enough and we don't breathe deeply, you know, really we're doing ourselves a disservice, and not just ourselves, the people around us, because, you know, it brings up a lot of debris. So that can be memories, that can be, you know, it can just be that you're going to be ill physically, but we really need to learn how to breathe. And if there's anyone listening here, and a lot of us will be grandmothers, or we are working with, or we've got children around us, just to get them to quietly sit there and put down these things and just to have some quiet space and some quiet time and just relaxing. Just make it into a game, because, you know, I've got 4 grandchildren, and they're only small, from 7 down to 1, but I tell you what, their lives are just so full. I don't see them, you know, I when I'm with them, I make them just sit quiet and let's play another type of game. But it's a mad world out there, and it's not getting any better, as in doing, which is what we've already spoken about. We are human beings, so, you know, we've got to have a balance, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. That's
Absolutely.
what it's all about. You know, here, I want to tell you though, you know, balance is great and you can have it for a little bit, but
Yes.
we're like this all the time, always changing. And the only time there's a flat line is when you're dead. So you
Exactly.
would be in perfect balance then. But while you're alive, it's an ebb and a flow. It's always like this.
It's
So don't worry if you feel out of balance. Just go ahead and take a little breath break.
exactly. So we want it like this. We don't want it like this.
That's right. We don't want the peaks and the valleys. We want it nice and
And,
easy.
you know, this is I guess I'm just going to say this, the issue, and my mum had this issue. She didn't want to feel her feelings. She didn't want to address anything. So she had her, I call them uppers and downers, to keep her like this. But she never knew when she was joyful, because she was never really joyful, and she didn't know when she was really sad, because she never got sad. So this is the I don't know, it's just to me is an imbalance, because you're not living life fully and truly. as it's intended, because we have to
Right.
know when we're joyful. We have to know when we're sad.
Yeah.
It's just part of life. That's just being, being a living being on this planet, because we don't have to be a human being. We can be an animal. We can be anything.
Yeah. It's really true. The way that we experience the world as a human being, we experience it through our emotions. How does it make me feel? And when we ignore how we feel, when we suppress how we feel, when we repress and press down our emotions, they will come out another way, and you won't like it. They will come out another way, because you cannot live like that and be healthy. It's very important for you to know that when you're expressing, honoring, releasing your emotions, you're doing healing for yourself. So when a little kid says, I'm really frustrated and angry, you can say, I know exactly how you feel. Don't tell them, no, you don't. Don't suppress their feeling. Don't tell them that they're not allowed to feel that way. Don't tell them to feel nice. Let them feel their feelings, because this is what's happened for generations. Don't talk about it. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't. And that hasn't helped anybody ever.
No, it hasn't. And all it's done is compound generation upon generation to take on stuff. And, now this is why there's so much, in the last generation, I suppose, the last, 40, 50 years, say, where there's all
I'd say 150 years, but go ahead.
I'm thinking about when I've been alive.
Sure.
Of understanding, we have to let stuff go that isn't ours, that we inherited, or somebody said something to us, but it's got nothing to do with us. It was
where do we think the phrase toxic masculinity came from? It's men repressing their fear. It's men repressing their emotions. I mean, they're allowed to have like 4 emotions. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so we see this kind of behavior because when you press down your feelings, it's going to come out another way, and it won't be nice.
No.
It won't be good. It won't be healthy
at all. It won't be good. That's the beginnings of the demise, and of your physical health going downhill. And if people could understand that and simply breathe, it would be
pretty simple.
It would be a slightly different world. Yeah. So I want to thank you for being on here and having a chat with me, Dr. Tanya, and it's been a joy to be here, and I hope whoever is listening has learnt some little techniques. And if you need to know anything else, you can find out where either of us are in different parts of the world, and I'm sure maybe you've even got someone close by. But I do lots of work, as I think Dr. Tanya does, online, regularly to Europe. I'm regularly talking to people over there, and a couple in the US. But it doesn't matter where you are in the world these days. You can always get the assistance that you need. So if anybody resonates with us, please contact us. Otherwise, if it doesn't do anything else for you, please find someone that can help move past where you are. So thank you.
Take a deep breath.
All right. Well,
let's love
now, and
many blessings.
see you again soon. Bye for now.